Hi, I'm Sue, and I've come to read you chapter 4. Another light's on and another light's off later. The donkey scared himself half to death. It was half hidden in some particularly prickly needles that Ted was trying to hop past. He was concentrating so hard on not getting scratched that when he bumped straight into the donkey's nose, he almost lost his grip on the tree altogether. "Chill out, Ted," he whispered to himself as he calmed himself down and made sure his hanger was secure. "Nice donkey." He stroked the wooden animal's smooth ears. "So you're supposed to tell me which way to go, but I'm not sure I understand, donkey." The silent animal just stared at him placidly. Or was it actually looking past him? Ted turned to follow the donkey's gaze and just caught a glimpse of faded blue, gleaming dimly in the distance. "Yes!" Ted gave a little victory hop. "It's Jake!" He loved Jake, so he pushed down his nerves and hopped quickly from branch to branch towards the top of the colour in his eye line. "Jake!" called Ted. Only Uncle Dan called Jake old, but he was. Jake preferred to say antique. After all, he was the oldest of the Baubles by some way, years and years in fact. He was also the most beautiful, despite all his scars. His light blue casing was iridescent, like the delicate inside of a seashell, faded with time, but still kind of magical. "Jake!" called Ted again, louder this time. But Jake was bent over something, totally focused. He was also pretty hard of hearing and relied on lip reading a lot. In the end, Ted tapped him on the back. "Ted!" cried Jake happily, clinking the smaller Bauble's hanger with his own ornate gold one. "I didn't see you there. I was just checking in with these sheep. Haven't seen them since last year. They're looking good though, aren't they?" Ted looked down at the wooden sheep at Jake's base. Their fluffy woolliness was so delicately carved, he could see why old Jake wanted to stroke them. "Yes, they are, Jake," replied Ted, reaching out to touch them. "Eh?" said Jake, turning his better left ear towards Ted. "I said, yes, they are!" Ted tried again more loudly and turned his face Jake's way. "But why are they on the Christmas tree? I get that the donkey helped with Mary and Joseph's journey, but sheep?" "Ah," said Jake, his ever-present smile broadening. "That would be because of these guys." The shepherds. He nodded over to his left, where two wooden figures sat together, dressed in robes carved roughly to make them look plain and coarse, and holding long sticks curved at the tips. "Hey, they've got hooks, like our hangers!" exclaimed Ted. "That's because they're shepherds. They look after these sheep, and sometimes they need to rescue the little blighters from bushes or ditches. They just hook 'em out. That reminds me. Sit down, lad. I want to tell you something." Ted sat down and got ready to listen. Jake told the best stories. "You see this scar, Ted?" And Jake pointed at the jagged crack that ran from his hanger right down past his right ear to his mouth, narrowly missing his eye. "Yes, Jake?" Ted had always been a bit in awe of that scar. It made Jake look like a war hero from a long time ago. Jake nodded. "The dog did that, lad. Stole me from the tree and ran right off with me into the garden. Thought I was a ball. Threw me in the air over and over again. Thought I was a goner, I did." Ted listened, open-mouthed. "Finally," Jake went on, "the old dog dropped me in the pond. Splash. Couldn't get me out. Bounced off to find mischief everywhere he did. I just floated there, bobbing around, trying not to fill up with water and sink to the bottom. Fa-la-la, whispered Ted under his breath, his respect for old Jake growing even bigger by the second. I prayed then, I did, lad, prayed for rescue, prayed and prayed, but nobody came. Finally, when it was dark and I'd nearly given up hope, there was a light, a torch. I was found, rescued. Trouble was, I was so broken, I was scared the humans would throw me out. But they must have seen something in me of value, because a bit of a clean-up and a few drops of super glue later, and there I was, back on the tree, good as new. Well, almost. He smiled and tapped his scar. The thing is, Ted lad, these shepherds were waiting for rescue too. They were waiting for God to save their people, to clean them up, to mend them, to reassure them that they were his beloved children. Their nation, Israel, had waited for so many years. Maybe it seemed God didn't want them anymore. Maybe they were just too broken. Maybe he'd given up on them. I suspect they had almost lost all hope. But on this night, he nodded to the shepherds sitting on the branch of the tree, on this night, they would find out that God never gives up on us. He loves and cares for each one of us, no matter how broken we are. What happened, Jake? Asked Ted in Jake's good ear. How did God rescue them? Ah, well, lad, that is why you need to keep going on your journey. All will become clear, Ted, my boy. All will become clear. Now off you go and find Millie. You'll soon spot her. Jake chuckled to himself as he ushered Ted off along the branch. You'll spot her, no bother at all.